just got knocked out within the last year. He had won that race, as you mentioned, at Daytona. That's kept him in the Winston for quite a while.
One of the rookie candidates for the Winston Cup Rookie of the Year title this year is Jack Pennington in car number 47. And there he is. He is doing fine here. He's running in 13th spot, a lap down.
I'll tell you, to be a dirt track driver, he is doing a great job out there. Someone told me yesterday, look for him to have a good run here today, and he is. It's good to see him up there in the top 15.
He is second in rookie points. Barroso leads, and then Pennington. Behind him is Terry Labonte, the number 1 car. He's in 8th position at the moment. And Chad Little in the 19 car follows Labonte, and tucked in behind Chad Little is the 2 car driven by Rick Mast.
The car is sponsored by Glenn Doyle's Raven Boats, the fellow who sponsored the modified race in Martinsville last week.
Let's just continue to drop back and talk about some of the other guys that are still in competition.
Well, we'll say that Chad Little is running in the 14th position. We saw him there a moment ago, so he's having a good run here today.
There is Dave Marcus, and he is 15th at the moment.
Bill Venturini from Chicago in the car 35. That's looks like a Chevrolet.
It is.
Suffered on the inside of Dave Marcus.
Suffered a serious accident a couple of years ago, and maybe some people thought his career was over, but not by any means, as Bill Venturini is very much in action here at Talladega this afternoon in the Amoco Ultimate car.
It looks like 71 is slowing down. The car of Dave Marcus, he was having a good run, but he definitely is off the pace a little bit.
Now we catch up with another group of cars. There's the king, Richard Petty. Boy, he's had trouble from the drop of actually before the green flag came out with the engine problem they discovered before the race started that changed engines in the car, and he has just not been competitive here this afternoon. Behind him is the 17 car of Darrell Waltrip.
Looks like somebody punched him in the nose.
He's running in 16th.
West, Butch Miller doing a fine job here on the Talladega Super Speedway this afternoon.
And Ned, this group of cars, and they all are going to try to stay. There's Elliott on the inside, Darrell Waltrip on the inside, Dick Trickle, a lot of cars. Can go a lap down.
He has not. Richard Petty is back on the race. Began. They not have it.
Earnhardt better not look back, because I tell you, he would be Earnhardt. You know what? Problems, and Butch Miller
with another group of cars. There's the king, Richard Petty. Boy, he's had trouble from.
My bad. I had to find the place we left off to see what it was. Bad, my bad.
Before the race started, that changed engines in the car, and he has just not been competitive here this afternoon. Behind him is the 17 car of Darrell Waltrip.
Looks like somebody punched him in the nose.
He's running in 16th.
That's Mickey Gibbs right behind Darrell Waltrip. Davey Allison in the Alvin Star Ford. He's got some problems. And Butch Miller in the Food World Chevrolet.
Butch is only a lap down. He's running in 17th place, so he's having one of his better runs of the year.
Not a bad run at all for a guy who specializes in short track racing, or at least has most of his racing career in ASA and other sanctioning bodies throughout the Midwest. Butch Miller doing a fine job here on the Talladega Superspeedway this afternoon in 17th. Dropping on back. Next is...
Let's ask Bobby Hillen. He has some damage in it on the Snickers Buick.
Right behind him is
Rusty Wallace.
Rusty Wallace, the defending Winston Cup champion. He was involved in that accident coming off of the fourth corner a few laps ago that also involved Dale Jarrett. And look at the damage on this car. This is Jeff Bodine in the Junior Johnson car. You talk about 200-mile-an-hour tape. He's got some.
Looks like he used 3 rows trying to patch up that automobile.
Yeah, he was involved in that fourth turn skirmish there also.
Jeff Bodine is another car that's got some pretty serious damage. We'll be able to get back to Bill Elliott, our pole sitter, who had a chance to pick up the Unical Challenge, $7,600.
They got some tape. Look at that tape. Boy, that, wow.
Well, it's better aerodynamically than it was a while ago before they put that tape on there.
It works. That's all that counts. Bill Elliott, the pole sitter here this afternoon at over 199 miles an hour. Now here is the lead pack once again, led by Greg Sachs.
We've shown you the damaged car. Now we'll show you the undamaged cars, the cars that are running very, very fast.
Let's take a look at our Western Auto mid-race recap. Leader Greg Sachs at an average speed of 154.260. We've had 10 leaders and 19 lead changes, 5 caution periods, total of 25 laps, and 8 cars on the lead lap. Dale Earnhardt, Ken Schrader, Greg Sachs, Morgan Shepherd, Darrell Waltrip have all led, including Jeff Bodine, Kyle Petty, Buddy Baker led a lap. So did Mark Martin and Ernie Irvin. Gary Cope, Rick Wilson, Lake Speed, Rob Moroso, and Harry Gant all are out of the competition. Gary Cope was the first out. So are Phil Parsons, Ricky Rudd, Dale Jarrett, Buddy Baker, and Jimmy Spencer. Several of those from that crash out of turn number 4. The Mechanic of the Year point standings going into this race show Robin Pemberton from the Mark Martin crew on top of the standings. Tim Brewer, Jeff Bodine's car second, and Gary Nelson on Kyle Petty's car. Jeff Hammond for Darrell Waltrip fourth, and Donnie Wingo, the crew chief on Morgan Shepherd's car, is fifth in the Western Auto Mechanic of the Year point standings. So it remains Greg Sachs, followed by Dale Earnhardt and Ken Schrader at the Winston 500 at Talladega Superspeedway. Talladega Superspeedway, led by Greg Sachs. Then comes Dale Earnhardt, then Ken Schrader, and Mark Martin, and the 5th car is Ernie Irvin in the bright yellow number 4.
And you get the idea that Mark Martin and Ernie Irvin are just hanging on by their fingernails.
Yeah, I think they're having to drive their hearts out just to stay in the draft, Benny. The Chevrolets have been so strong all afternoon, but they have taken advantage of the fact that once they got up there, they're hanging on to the draft.
That car that looked like a modified that this lead pack just passed was Dick Trickle. 142 laps are completed out of 188. It has for most of the afternoon been a 3-car battle. Now here is a battle for position. Both of these cars are a lap down, but they're struggling for that 10th position. It's Hut Strickland in number 12 and Kyle Petty in 42.
Well, couldn't quite make the pass that time. He didn't have anybody to go with him.
And we saw how quickly that Kyle tried to dive behind Hut Strickland to be able to pick up that draft.
Strickland drafting on Sterling Marlin, who is in the lead lap, 6th place. Strickland and Petty once again run side by side into turn 1.
Well, I'll tell you, that's pretty impressive that Kyle passes both of those cars going into the turn. Now Marlin goes high. Now Hut Strickland trying to move around him.
Marlin must be dropping back a little bit, because here comes Michael Waltrip, who is in 7th position, and Michael is about to take over 6th position from Sterling Marlin. Here it is. Yes, Michael goes to 6th spot, and Sterling Marlin goes back to 7th.
I wouldn't be surprised if Sterling Marlin didn't get scared to death going in turn 1. He probably didn't expect Kyle Petty to drive under him going in the corner, and all of a sudden, from nowhere, seeing Kyle Petty alongside of him, he jumped out of the throttle, and look what happened, lost 4 or 5 spots.
And one thing that might be happening here, we noticed that Michael Waltrip and Sterling Marlin were some of those cars that got out of the pits early ahead of Earnhardt, those that changed tires. They probably didn't change tires, just took on gas, and those tires are getting a little worn and heated up now.
Speaking about Michael Waltrip, you know how he survived that horrifying crash at Bristol in a race car, and he almost drowned a couple of days later in Lake. Let's go to the pit area and talk with the team manager on the 94 car, Sterling Marlin.
We have Herb Huppridge here. Herb, Sterling's starting to drop back a little bit. You didn't change tires on the last pit stop. Is that the problem?
We're not certain right yet. He hasn't called in and told us anything about the car, but we pretty well gathered that that might be the problem. So we're just going to wait to get him in and see if we can't get back on up there.
So you're going to ride it out and wait till the schedule stops?
Right.
There you have it from Sterling Marlin's pit. Apparently, they would like to see a caution here, guys, because now you could get in and get 4 fresh tires. They were one of the teams that did not change tires at all that last round of pit stops to pick up some track position.
And it really hasn't paid off for Sterling Marlin, as he has fallen back to 7th spot. Back up front, meanwhile, it remains a 5-car draft for the lead, with 3 Chevrolet Luminas, then a Ford, and then an Oldsmobile driven by Ernie Irvan. Greg Sachs is leading in the Ultra Slim Fast Chevrolet. There are your top 5. We'll take a look at the top 10 as we pause once again for a commercial break from the Winston 500 at Talladega Superspeedway in Alabama.
A lot in just 1 lap, Bob.
Something's happened to Schrader. Ken Schrader is off the pace in that Kodiak Chevrolet. Something has happened.
Ernie Irvan is now 3rd, and Greg Sachs is 4th, as Ken Schrader goes to the bottom of the racetrack and drops off the pace. A tough break for Ken Schrader, who is one of the 3 strongest cars all race long.
This is just like Daytona all over again when he had such a great run.
Now, this is how Dale Earnhardt got the lead from Greg Sachs. Schrader okay at the moment.
Yeah, Earnhardt drive down on the inside with the help of Schrader, a little bit of draft there, and then Sachs goes a little high, Schrader goes on by, so Schrader still looks okay. Here comes Mark Martin in the Ford number 6.
And now we have a battle for the lead once again, as Mark Martin challenges Dale Earnhardt on the outside. He and Ernie Irvan are hooked up, and Mark Martin may have led that lap. He was about a half a car length ahead of Dale Earnhardt, but they battle side by side into turn number 1. And Sachs and Ernie Irvan are side by side for 3rd.
They don't want to stay that way too long, because if Earnhardt and Mark Martin gets hooked up together, they could pull away. But now Greg Sachs has seen that could happen, so he pulls back around.
By the lead pack, as he can only drive it toward the pit area.
This goes to show you how fast these cars are running. Ken Schrader was coasting for 2.5 miles. These fellas lapped him before he could get back to pit road.
There's Schrader, who has finally made it around to his pit. And they're going to raise the hood on the Kodiak Chevrolet and check it out. Jerry Punch, can you tell us what they're doing?
Well, Kenny Schrader said a moment ago he thinks the motor man come apart in the car, and so the crew chief, Richard Broom, and Kenny Bingham, the engine builder, have run back to the garage area to meet him back there. But Schrader has pulled the car now onto pit road. They have raised the hood. David Oliver and the rest of the Kodiak crew here looking, and now Schrader will shut the car off, and Mike Slattery and the crew will button it up, take the window net down, and apparently pull Schrader out of the car. Tough break after a great run for Kenny Schrader.
Schrader came into the race 8th in Winston Cup points. He has been in the top 10 5 times, make that 6 times in the first 8 races. 4 cars still up front, and our congratulations to Susan Persin from Williamsburg, Virginia, who won a Pontiac Grand Prix knowing that Dale Earnhardt was the leader at the halfway point in the right guard challenge.
I believe they're all pretty content to sit there and ride for a while now.
Let's go to Jerry Punch, who's with Ken Schrader.
Kenny's still sitting in the car. Kenny, you had a great run going, partner.
Something laid down on us. Thing run good all day, and it started losing oil pressure. Just give up.
Your buddy, your teammate Greg Sachs having a good run now. Does he think he can handle Earnhardt?
Well, Greg's a little loose right now, but Dale's a little loose too. So it's going to be tough. But Greg's running off good.
Normally very animated Kenny Schrader. You can see he's totally dejected. He thought he had a shot and probably had the best shot of the year of winning here in Talladega. Now he'll have to go back to the garage area, climb on the truck, and pull for teammate Greg Sachs.
Places being traded up front again, Jerry. It is Earnhardt and Mark Martin, and then this battle for third as Greg Sachs wants to go around Ernie Irvan and go to third, and he does, coming off the 33-degree banking into the tri-oval. Greg Sachs goes to third.
Well, it's a good thing that Greg Sachs made that pass on Ernie Irvan, backed off to let him make that pass, because those 2 cars, I'm talking about the 3 and the 6, they could have driven away if those cars had just run side by side for about another straightaway.
Sachs' car might be a little loose, but he still has plenty of horsepower under his. Earnhardt moving around a little bit there, trying to break the ground. And here comes Greg Sachs again.
He's going to second and easily does so, passing Mark Martin. Sachs back to second spot. He dropped all the way back to 5th there for a moment, but he's back up to the runner-up position.
Amazing how strong that car is today.
It really is.
You know, you said Paul Newman might be an Indian. If you walk by a television and turn it on ESPN, he certainly isn't watching those Indy cars practice.
I bet he's watching TV. Don't go away, fans. We got a terrific finish set up for this thing if these 2 cars continue to run the way they have all race long. Mark Martin is third, and then comes Ernie Irvan, who of course took over this ride from Phil Parsons a few races after the season started. Then he asked Ernie Irvan, do you wish what your good friend Dale Earnhardt has?
Well, I think I got everything he's got right now, Billy, except for that experience he's got. And, you know, we got the team and everything we need to do it with, and Dale's got a lot of experience, and he'll be the first one to tell you that you can't buy experience, and he's paid a lot of price up and down the road getting his experience, and hopefully these guys will stick with me. We're supposed to be together an awful long time, and things hopefully will work out, and we'll stay together, and we'll be racing, and hopefully 2 years from now you'll be saying, man, is that Ernie Irvan? Don't you wish you had what he's got?
Well, Ernie has run very strong in several races since taking over this ride. His best finish of the year was a 3rd at Atlanta.
In fact, it was the best finish of his career in Winston Cup.
Let's go to Dr. Jerry Punch, who's in Greg Sachs' pit. Now, this crew hasn't been quite as fast as Dale Earnhardt's in the previous stops. Jerry?
No, they haven't been, but they've got a lot of experience. Just because they're a new team doesn't mean they lack experience, and let me show you why. To my right here is Dennis Conner, who was the crew chief for Tim Richmond for a couple of years back when they had the old Folgers team for Hendrick. Conner is one of the reasons Tim Richmond won so many races with that great team a couple of years ago. He is now part of the Slim Fast Greg Sachs team. The crew chief here is Gary Dehart to my left. Gary Dehart, coming originally with Billy Hagan and Terry Labonte years ago, was back here with Rainier Racing when Kel Yarborough won, driving a car prepared by Waddell Wilson. So Gary Dehart has now, we've been told, been named Western Auto Mechanic of the Race, winning a $1,000 prize. And Gary, listen to Greg Sachs. Gary, congratulations on being named Mechanic of the Race by Western Auto. You guys have done a whale of a job.
Thank you very much. It's an honor to receive that. We're just doing the best we can. This is our first race together. We're a little rusty on the corners, but we get there.
Not too bad a job in the pits either, even though you're a little slower than some of the regulars. You've done a pretty good job changing tires.
Yeah, I'm proud of all the guys. They've done a real good job.
Does Greg have something that he can handle, Earnhardt?
If we can get the right tires on the car, we do.
Right now, you heard Ken Schrader say, and they are talking here in the pits, Greg Sachs is a little bit loose out there, so you're going to have to bide his time, maybe wait for a final pit stop.
Well, it really doesn't reflect that because he is staying right with Earnhardt.
Ned, I wonder, would they go down and ask the Kodiak pit crew to come in and fill in for them on this last pit stop that means so much?
I don't know. That's a good thought because the Kodiak, Ken Schrader's crew does it every week and certainly are a little more primed and experienced than his crew, so I don't know.
As I said that, Ken Schrader went back on the racetrack. He's back between 1 and 2, burning very slowly, but he is back on the racetrack. Meanwhile, the two Chevrolets have pulled away from the Ford and the Oldsmobile. Here's the two Chevrolet Luminas. Earnhardt, the black 3, 18, Greg Sachs. And as we look behind them, the gap, all of a sudden the cars are right on the bumper. Now, Mark Martin and Ernie Irvin about 15, 20 car lengths behind.
And they're going to get farther and farther behind too, Benny. It didn't take too many laps to get that distance as they come up on heavy traffic there, but they'll motor right through them.
Those two just can't keep up with the Chevrolet Luminas that have been so dominant here this afternoon in the Winston 500. We'll take a break and be back with more right after these messages. Of around 190, 95, even 200 miles an hour here at Talladega as Dale Earnhardt leads Greg Sachs, but we'll slow the pace down right after this event as we go to Las Vegas, Nevada for the Senior PGA Las Vegas Senior Classic. That's coming up next right after the Winston 500 here at Talladega. And tonight, settle back at 8 o'clock Eastern Time for Sunday Night Baseball. Tonight featuring the New York Yankees against the California Angels. That's at 8 o'clock live tonight here on ESPN Sunday Night Baseball. It remains Dale Earnhardt and Greg Sachs hooked up, pulling away from everybody else in the Winston 500. Sterling Marlin in car number 94, who was on the lead lap, one of the 7 cars on the lead lap, has pulled in and dropped out of the race. So now only 6 machines remain on the lead lap. And there is Ken Schrader as the leaders pass by. Schrader was one of those who was right up front with the other 2 throughout most of the race, but he has dropped off. Now there is Harold Kinder, who is the official flagman for NASCAR. He's the one with his back to us, and he's waving the yellow flag. Let's see if we can find out why. I don't see any accident on the racetrack. There is debris on the racetrack, we understand. Now, we were going to tell you a story involving Harold Kinder. Let's do that with Jerry Punch in the pit area.
Well, it's a rather sad story because we are saying goodbye to a longtime friend and legend here in NASCAR racing. It was announced in the drivers' meeting this morning rather tearfully that Harold Kinder, at 64 years of age, would hang it up after today. He would enter a hospital this week and have surgery on very, very arthritic, stricken knees. And, of course, for many, many years, he's made that long John Wayne-type stroll down pit road and climbed the flag stand. And when it was announced in the drivers' meeting, the drivers in total, all 40 of them, walked up and gave Harold a big hug, and he was literally in tears, a very emotional Harold Kinder, who will be missed.
We are going to miss Harold. Not only does he do such a great job as a flagman, but he's always in the pit area, always with a smile on his face, and always with a story to tell.
Yes, he's a very likable type of an individual. He certainly will be missed, no question about that. And he has a great fan following, too.
Yes, he does. Let's continue our injury report here by giving you an update on the Darrell Gwynn situation. Of course, he is the race driver, and this is the little sign that's on Bill Elliott's car. Of course, both drivers are sponsored by Coors, and we all wish Darrell Gwynn the best. He is still in Stoke Mandeville Hospital in England and still is paralyzed from the waist down. I talked with Darrell's father, Jerry, Thursday afternoon, and he says that Darrell's spirits remain good. He does have feeling in his right arm, so apparently the paralysis will not be that high, but Darrell Gwynn still does remain in Stoke Mandeville Hospital. He may be released from that facility in 2 or 3 weeks when they reach a point where he could be transferred. Now let's go to Dr. Jerry Punch and continue our medical update with a report on Bill France Jr. Jerry.
Well, good news on Mr. France, Bob. He was discharged from Halifax Hospital this past week, and apparently will be able to recuperate at home, undergo some rehabilitation at home, and be back on his feet hopefully within a few weeks. If you don't believe he was in charge the whole time, just ask the nurses up on the 8th floor at Halifax Hospital. Bill France Jr. ran NASCAR from his hospital bed for about a week and a half, undergoing surgery repair there, but he is home now and operating NASCAR from his bed at home. We are watching pit stops here. A lot of action going on pit road. Earnhardt on the bottom of your screen. Greg Sachs on the top of your screen now. The ultra-fast crew now scampering around the left side of the car. Earnhardt's crew already have it on the left side of their car, changing left side tires. Now you're seeing a real congestion up and down pit road. And Earnhardt's car now moves in, now Sachs moves away. You're seeing Martin headed back to turn 1. A lot of cars, almost everyone in the pits for a 4-tire change here. Caution flag.
Greg Sachs did beat Ernie Irvan out of the pits, but just about everybody else got out ahead of Greg Sachs as he moves back into the pack that's forming behind the pace car.
I'll tell you, this caution came out at a good time for most of them because green flag pit stops were coming up. They were going to have to stop very shortly. In fact, we had a report that Earnhardt's car was out of gas, and so the caution flag was very appropriate for him.
Let's go to John Kernan, who was watching the Michael Waltrip pit stop.
I tell you what, I don't believe what I just saw down here, gentlemen. We talked about fast pit stops and the importance. They took on 2 tires, enough gas to get him to the finish of this race in only 10.8 seconds. That is amazing.
Well, it has him in second place, John, on the racetrack. Terry Labonte being shown as the leader in the Skull car number 1. But we've heard that he might have an engine problem only running on 7 cylinders, so Michael might be able to get to the front here pretty quickly.
You know, Talladega has been known in years past as producing surprise winners or first-time winners. Phil Parsons, Bobby Hillin, and several won their first race here at Talladega. We may have a surprise winner here this afternoon in the Winston 500. And watch just about in the middle of your screen a yellow car, and watch for Michael Waltrip to pull out of the pit area after an extremely quick pit stop. There he goes. 2-tire change in fuel in a little over 10 seconds. And boy, did he have a great one. That has put him in the lead as we are about to go back to green.
Now, before we went to the break, we had Terry Labonte in the lead. Labonte stayed out there, I think, to lead 1 lap under caution. He has since come into the pits, so he's at the back of the lead pack in 6th position.
I'm impressed with the way that all the drivers are getting out of the pits today. Ned, we haven't seen one driver smoke the tires leaving the pit road today.
They've done a good job.
We are nearing the end of the Winston 500 here as the field comes down and starts the race once again. The green flag is waving. Here comes Dale Earnhardt and others on the outside of Michael Waltrip, the leader, and Earnhardt shoots into the lead. Let's go to Jerry Punch quickly.
Apparently communication going on between the Earnhardt crew and the Greg Sachs crew, and I'm told that Earnhardt's crew said if you have Sachs following behind us, the 2 of us, the 2 Chevrolets, can hook up and pull away and leave everyone else behind, and we'll settle this race between 2 Chevrolets and leave everyone else in our dust.
Interesting situation, strategy being played out here. That looks like what's going to happen if Greg Sachs can dispose of Mark Martin. That is exactly what will happen. Is hanging in there in second spot. The thunder of the Winston Cup cars at Talladega. Earnhardt leads. Mark Martin and Greg Sachs and Michael Waltrip.
And Ernie Irvan is caught back in the pack there behind them. You can see him on the right side of your screen in the car number 4 trying to move around Dave Marcus.
Sachs trying to look inside the 6 car on Mark Martin.
He may do it here. Gets the slingshot, and it worked.
Boy, he just drove on by just like he was on an interstate.
And now we see Earnhardt and Sachs hooked up together. And we'll see if they pull away from the rest of the field.
I bet they will.
Bet they will, too. You can see it happening already. Those who have dropped out of the race being shown to you. Derek Cope, a big disappointment as he had a chance for a $100,000 bonus if he could win here today, but he was the first out of competition. And by the way, the winner on this race will still be eligible for the Winston Million because you have to win 3 of the 4 races, and this is only the second. That Winston Million may be decided at the Southern 500. The caution flag waves once again.
Sachs backs off to the start-finish line. The pace car is already out on the track down in turn 1. You can see it just ahead of the cars as they get slowed down. Field
slowing dramatically here. The driver is really climbing on the binders. There is a piece of debris on the racetrack. There you can see it in the middle of your screen. And so the track officials will have to come out and retrieve it. There they do. So this should be a very quick caution period.
Well, they have only run a few laps. They certainly have enough fuel to run the rest of the way, have new tires, so I expect they will not come into pits.
I would imagine not, so we'll probably go a couple of more laps here under caution and then turn them loose once again. We're just about 20 laps from the end of the Winston 500. Earnhardt and Greg Sachs have been dominating. We'll be right back. The pace car is out, indicating that next time around we will go back to racing. The 2 abreast formation is trying to be formed, but Jack Pennington is the 3rd car down there on the bottom of the racetrack. The number 19 car of Chad Little, sponsored by Bullseye Barbecue Sauce. We continue our medical update with Jerry Punch again.
One of the people that's instrumental in the Chad Little operation is a fellow by the name of Charlie Herring. Now, Charlie Herring is missing here today. He's an avid NASCAR and ESPN fan. He suffered a heart attack and is recovering at Emory Hospital in Atlanta. Charlie, we know you're watching, and all Chad Little and a lot of your friends here up and down pit road that are big fans of NASCAR and Bullseye Barbecue and Craft say wish you a speedy recovery, as we do at ESPN.
I certainly echo that. Charlie Herring and I had the pleasure of working with him in 1980. Charlie, get back to the racetrack real soon.
By the way, this Bullseye Barbecue sponsored car will be carrying an in-car camera when we go to Daytona for the Pepsi 400. Jack Pennington at number 47. Boy, he has been very, very impressive. He's still only a lap down, and he's shown 9th.
He's got a problem right now because he is 3 deep on the restart. That is purely against the rule. I wouldn't be surprised to see him get black flag.
Yeah, they may now pull into.
Yeah, he pulls up there. That puts him in 7th place if he is indeed in the right position.
He is, according to our scoring.
That's where he's supposed to be, is in the 7th place. We understand. So he was right if they're trying to get his position.
Okay. 6 cars on the lead lap, and Pennington would be in 7th spot.
Now, he can't do that. Can he, Benny?
No, he can't do that.
Well, now Earnhardt has taken off, so that situation that he's out in front of there.
And Jack is left in the dust.
Yeah.
How about that? Can you believe this? The 3 and the 18 cars are pulling away from everybody.
Boy, talk about pulling away. And they are flat doing it in a hurry.
Oof. Mark Martin seemed to get a terrible start because we can hardly see the 6th car back. He's the 5th car in line. The 3rd place car is 5th in line. And laps are running out. He only has about 17 to go. He'll never catch his 2 cars.
I don't think anybody is going to catch those 2 cars. As they come down, there will be 16 more circuits to go. The Talladega Superspeedway. We take kind of a break from Winston Cup racing here for about a month. The next time we'll be with you for Winston Cup racing will be in Dover, Delaware, the first weekend of June.
So 2 Chevrolets battling it out here to see who will win the 1990 Winston 500.
The 30 and the 4 cars are battling for position. They're battling for 4th, as a matter of fact. Michael Waltrip and Ernie Irvan.
Michael goes a little bit high. Ernie tries to get by on the inside.
Mark Martin is running right ahead of him, and he's in 4th. Or make that 3rd.
Yeah, Ernie was able to pick up a little draft in the turn from those other cars, but once they got out of the turn, it didn't help him that much. Thought he might get some help from Chad Little, but maybe not. See, once he gets in the turn and they dip down to the inside, that might help him a little bit. Let's see if he can pull off the turn now and move around Michael Waltrip. Yep, I believe he did.
Sure did. So Ernie Irvan goes to 4th position.
Let's see if Ernie Irvan and Michael Waltrip can get hooked up, get by Chad Little, and catch this 6th car. That would be a race for 3rd spot.
John Kernan with a comment on Michael Waltrip.
Well, that apparently is what is going on right now during practice. Billy Engel, that Michael drafts well when he's running behind Ernie Irvan, so maybe those two have hooked up together and are trying to chase down the leaders.
Now Michael's lagging behind a little right now, not able to stay up with Ernie and catch his draft. So that isn't working at the moment for him.
No, it's not. Ernie has moved on, and he'll be able to pick up the draft of Martin there very shortly. Wouldn't surprise me to see him run Martin down, although Martin is working up there with the Kyle Petty car.
Ernie Irvan running on the bottom of the racetrack. You know, remember, Michael Waltrip only changed 2 tires on that last pit stop, so it may be that these fellows have a little bit of a tire advantage on him, because the way Ernie's car is sticking on the bottom of the racetrack certainly looks like 4 new tires on that car.
Yes, he's leaving Michael Waltrip now as Michael tries to move around the Chad Little. Now Ernie has caught, there he does move around Chad Little. Ernie Irvan has caught Kyle Petty and Mark Martin. Boy, he came up in a hurry.
Yeah, Ernie Irvan is really showing some strength. He may take 3rd position here away from Mark Martin.
Moved over, didn't fight him, because one thing that's helping him, he's the first car that's 1 lap down, running in 7th position at the moment, and he sees there's 2 good race cars that can pull him away from those other cars behind him that are 1 lap down, which there are about a total of 6 cars. Kyle Petty, Morgan Shepherd, Darrell Waltrip, Hutch Strickland, Jack Pennington, and Brett Bodine from 7th through 12th as we go back to the leader.
Dale Earnhardt and Greg Sachs. Then comes Mark Martin and Ernie Irvan. Those are the cars that were a lap down, Ned. 2 laps down. In 13th position is Chad Little. Then comes Dave Marcus in 14th. 15th is Alan Kowicki. 16th is Rick Mass. 17th is Butch Miller. In 18th position is Bill Venturini. He's 5 laps down. Then 19th is Mickey Gibbs. And in 20th position is Rusty Wallace.
So Wallace will lose more points today. It's going to be tough for him to defend his Winston Cup championship this year.
We watch these 2 Chevrolets once again, bumper to bumper. Here comes the Ford and the Oldsmobile. This is the 3rd spot.
Ford, Oldsmobile, and Pontiac wrapped in back there behind the leaders.
We talked about Kenny Bingham, the engine builder on Ken Schrader's car. I wouldn't be surprised if Ken Bingham and Ronnie Revitz did not also build the engine in the 18 car. That's the B&R engine shop out of Winston-Salem, North Carolina, which builds engines exclusively for Hendrick Motorsports. So they had 1 die on the day. Jerry Punch, do you know the answer to that question?
They were actively involved, Eddie, in building the engine, but I'm told that Charlie Seegers, one of the people in the engine room himself, is involved primarily with the R&D program, and Charlie's got to be smiling quite a bit right now because, of course, learning from Kenny Bingham and those guys, you're learning from some of the masters and the best, and that's why he felt so good that his engine was able to run up there with Schrader and some of these guys.
It'll be 10 laps to go when the leaders come by the start-finish line this time.
Dale Earnhardt leads. Sachs is 2nd. Earnhardt has won twice here at Talladega in 83 and 84. Greg Sachs has only won 1 Winston Cup race. That was at Daytona. Back in just a moment. drama of the last few laps of the Winston 500 are being played out. There are 8 more laps to go. 180 are on the board, and it's Dale Earnhardt and Greg Sachs hooked up in a 2-car draft that will settle the winner of the race.
Earnhardt's going to break his record. He's won 2 races here. He always did it by passing someone on the last lap. Do you think he's going to move over and let Sachs get in front of him so he can pass him on the last lap?
No, I don't think so. I think he'll try to stay out front. How about it, Jerry Punch? What you hearing down there?
Dad, what we're hearing down here is a little bit funny, and as a matter of fact, a little comical. Earnhardt is definitely concerned about Greg Sachs. In fact, Earnhardt and Childress both feel that Sachs may have a little more strength than they do. This is really unheard of almost in NASCAR racing. But one thing Earnhardt said to Childress was, I wonder if he realizes how wide this Goodrich Chevrolet is going to get on that last lap.
Well, the last time a Winston 500 was won with the last lap pass was in 1984 when Cale Yarborough passed Harry Gant. We could be seeing another one here this afternoon.
Now, Earnhardt has to be wondering just how much strength does that Chevrolet behind me have. He has passed Earnhardt several times this afternoon, has made it look easy a number of times. There are the 3rd and 4th place cars, pretty far behind.
But they are pulling Kyle Petty away from the cars that he was racing with 1 lap down.
Yep.
Kyle Petty is 7th, 6 cars on the lead lap. Six laps to go.
Win or lose, Greg Sachs has had a super run today.
You are right about that. Dale Earnhardt looking to add to his Winston Cup points lead. Morgan Shepherd, who is 2nd in points, is currently running 8th.
Might be the first time that Bud Moore, who's the car owner for Morgan Shepherd, ever pulled for a Chevrolet. You know that he's pulling for Dale Earnhardt to win the race, so his car will still be in the Winston 2 weeks from today.
It's kind of a good news, bad news, because he'll add to the points lead if Earnhardt wins, but he will maintain his position to Winston. Sunday, the Indianapolis Motor Speedway time trials for this year's running of the 500-mile race here on ESPN.
And since we won't be on the air, we'll wish all of the 5 mothers out there happy Mother's Day in advance. We won't be on the air in Winston Cup. I won't be on the air.
4 to go. Could this be a repeat of the Daytona 500 when Earnhardt dominated the race and lost it on the last lap?
Oh, that would be too cruel.
Well, if he loses it by racing, it won't hurt nearly as much as if you lose it by having a flat tire like he did at Daytona.
Dale Earnhardt already running a little bit defensive. As he comes off the corner, Ned, he's not letting the car go back out against that wall like he normally does. There's Gary Dehart, the crew chief, on Greg Sachs' Ultra Slim Fast Chevrolet.
Well, don't you guess he's maybe trying to tell Greg Sachs, now this is the way that I'm going to drive. You know, this you're seeing my plan, and then all of a sudden you might have a different plan.
And there is Richard Childress on communication with Dale Earnhardt. Less than 3 to go. Mark Martin and Ernie Irvan are still running in 3rd and 4th position. But there's several car lengths behind the first 2. They continue, though, to have a good battle for that spot.
Earnhardt don't know if Greg Sachs is just running about half throttle back there in the draft, or having to run wide open to keep up, or just what's going on.
He's going to find out, though, as there are now 2 more laps to go in the Winston 500. 2 to go. Martin continues to lead Irvan. continues to lead Sachs. If the move is going to come, it will come one more lap from now.
Yeah, he won't make a move on this lap. That's for sure.
Get ready, ladies and gentlemen.
Now, where will he make it? Where, Benny, does he need to make the move now?
Well, I think he's going to have to make it on the back straightaway. He's going to have to wait for coming off the second quarter and make the move. White flag for the last time. Harold Kinder is going to wave the white flag on a Winston Cup stock car race.
Here it is. One more lap to go. Will it be Earnhardt or will it be Greg Sachs? Let's follow them around and see what happens.
Earnhardt keeps a rod down on the bottom of the racetrack.
Sachs backed up to get a good run off the second corner, Ned.
Yep, didn't back up too much.
I think he did because Earnhardt saw that move. Look, Earnhardt all the way down, almost in the grass.
Drafted Bill Elliott just to get a little bit of help there.
Don't think Greg Sachs is going to be able to do it. He does close in just a little bit and comes within a car length.
It's a long way from the fourth turn down to the start-finish line, though.
It is a long way. Here we are. They come out of the 33 degrees of banking onto the tri-oval, banked at 18 degrees. Still, Greg Sachs runs behind Dale Earnhardt. Sachs looks to the inside. Is he going to be able to do it? He now looks to the outside. They cross the line. No, it's Dale Earnhardt winning the Winston 500, and Greg Sachs with a beautiful battle in second position. And Mark Martin crossed the line just ahead of Ernie Irvin to take third spot. And the Richard Childress crew celebrates on pit road, and Jerry Punch is right there.
Richard, I know you probably had to have some doubts. You knew Sachs was awful strong.
Yeah, but when you got Dale Earnhardt strong the last lap, I mean, that's like having a bunch extra. You know, you came up and said that we had a little, you know, they had a little extra. We did too. We had Dale Earnhardt in the car.
Well, he certainly made that Goodrich Chevrolet awfully wide in that final lap.
Yeah, you know, he done a super job for all the people at Goodrich and, you know, for the team. And, you know, we're just stuck to the death. After what happened at Daytona, you know, we just feel great now.
I guarantee they're celebrating here in the Goodrich pit. Let's check in where John Kernan is standing by with Rick Hendrick.
Thank you, Jerry. Rick, finished second. Got to be a good run for you.
Yeah, it is. You know, it's tough. You're disappointed. Dale ran a great race. We thought we had something for him there at the end. And Rick said on radio, a lap car got in his way. But I don't know if we could have beat him. But, you know, I'm glad we finished second. This team really deserves a lot of credit for what they've done today. And, you know, a little disappointed because we didn't have a shot to win it. But next week, we're happy to put the second place. Congratulations to Dale.
Going to give Paul a call.
Yeah, I think he was watching. Yeah, hey, Paul, you should have been here. It was a great race. Okay.
Okay, there you have it from Rick Hendrick. Disappointed, but still kind of elated about the good finish.
Dale Earnhardt wins his second race here in 2 days. He won IROC yesterday, and today he comes home the champion of the Winston 500. We'll be back to talk with him in a moment. For our Sears Road Handler Winner's Circle interview. Jerry?
Dale has climbed out of the car and celebrating here with wife Teresa and daughter Taylor Nicole. And Dale, congratulations on a great effort.
Thank you. I'd like to thank the Lord for a safe race. And
時間になりましたので、これから記者会見を開始いたします。本日はフィリッポ・グランディ国連難民高等弁務官をお迎えいたしました。気候変動に加えて新型コロナウイルスのパンデミック、そしてロシアによるウクライナ侵攻といろいろな原因で難民問題が長期化、深刻化しております。そうした中、今ハマスとイスラエルの衝突ということも起きていまして、状況がさらに難しくなっております。グランディさんにはこの世界の難民問題を、ご覧になっているわけですけど、その深刻な状況をどのようにご覧になり、そしてどう対処されるのかお伺いしたいと思います。 この会見は英語と日本語で行います。この後、グランディさんから逐次通訳込みで20分から30分ほどお話を伺います。その後、質問をお受けいたします。質問は会場とオンラインの双方からお受けいたします。オンラインの参加者のうちテキストの質問は今から随時受け付けます。本日通訳は UNHCR の賀来花子さんにお務めいただきます。司会は日本記者クラブの企画員で NHK 解説委員の出川信久が担当させていただきます。それでは早速グランディ
But we was watching that. Okay, here we go. We got something, but it ain't shit. But it ain't got no sound though, does it? Nope. Can't play that. Ain't got no sound. We gotta have sound for you guys. Got nothing. I ain't got nothing else, man. I'll see you guys later. I got something, but you guys got to be watching now, otherwise I'll get copyrighted. So, but at 4 o'clock I'll restart it because it's got that good shit, the retro 80s, the 90s.
Is it one of those things that excites me about staying? Absolutely.
So we're gonna watch this for a little bit.
I'm really looking forward to actually putting it through the motions on the side of the highway.
Into Lakeshore. He's heading toward a big test for the big truck.
We're dealing with a tractor trailer that's fully loaded with...
But it will also be a test for Big Orange's operator.
The truth is, the only reason I'm not retiring yet is because I don't hate what I do. I'm fortunate. I wake up every day and love what I do, so I wish I did hate what I did, and it'd be a whole lot easier on my body.
Oh, look what we got here.
Well, that don't look good.
Let me just see what I got. He's right in that ditch. Front end.
Demolished.
It already did,
so there'll
guys.
definitely be no driving it away.
The eastbound.
It already, that's why, is it blank when I do this? Hold on. Oh, let me get this off. Maybe it don't show YouTube TV. Yeah, I see it's blank. Damn, they really have that shit. I can't even stream it. Damn. They have that shit blocked out. See, everything else is live, but I'm gonna turn that shit off so you don't see what I got on my shit. Because you don't need to know what I got on my shit, bitch. It's just secret stuff. Rob just... Now, I guess I'm gonna end it, though. I ain't got shit else to stream. I guess I got that, but this ain't got nothing happening. I can't believe that, though. YouTube TV, when I stream that shit, it doesn't even show up. It just blanks it so it don't copyright it. Wow. Anyway, here we go until I end it.